This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang.
Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game finds Kuzno, Seb, Maxim, and myself battling it out. First up, Kuzno has paired Kiora and Karuga together, keeping Breeding Pool, Forest, Urza's Tower, Whelming Wave, Time Warp, Archipelagore, and Careful Cultivation. Seb is playing Kroxa and Kunoros, keeping Blood Crypt, Commander Sphere, Mind Stone, Arcane Signet, and Bruce Tarl. Max is still playing his Sauron deck, keeping 2 Islands, Swamp, Izzet Signet, Basalt Monolith, Tyrant's Familiar, and Relic of Sauron. I am playing Vilis probably for my last time, keeping 3 Swamps, Necropotence, Sol Ring, Urborg, and Nykthos. Seb wins the die roll and starts us off. Seb plays a tapped Blood Crypt. Max just plays an island. I play Urborg and pass the turn. Kuzno plays a tapped Breeding Pool. Seb has a Rugged Prairie for turn and taps 2 for Arcane Signet. Max plays a Swamp and casts Izzet Signet. I play a Swamp and cast Sol Ring. I then cast Read the Bones, Scrying 2, Bottoming 2, Drawing 2, and Losing 2. Kuzno plays a Forest and cycles his Careful Cultivation, making a Monk token that taps for green. Seb pays 3 for Commander Sphere, and then taps the Sphere to cast Wayfarer's Bauble and passes turn. Max has an Island for turn, and then taps enough for Relic of Sauron. He then taps it for Tormenting Voice, discarding Tyrant's Familiar as part of the cost. He then draws 2 and passes. I play a Swamp and pay 3 black for Necropotence. I then tap the Sol Ring for Thought Vessel, and then after that, go decently hard, paying 10 life into Necropotence. I set aside 10 cards, and then put them to hand at the end of my turn. Kuzno just plays an Urza's Tower, and passes. Seb drops a Savai Triome, which comes in tapped, and then plays Mind Stone. They then pay for the combined cost of Wear and Tear, blowing up the Relic of Sauron, and Necropotence. Max plays an Ancient Tomb as his land for turn, tapping it and losing 2 to cast Felwar Stone. He then taps enough for Basalt Monolith. I've got a tapped Hive of the Eye Tyrant as my land for turn, and then pay 3 black for Beseech the Queen, going to find a 4 or less costing card. I reveal a Crypt cast and put it to my hand. Kuzno plays a Hinterland Harbor for turn, and then taps out to cast his commander, Kiora. Seb has a Terramorphic Expanse, and then casts Wheel of Fortune. This has us discarding all of our hands, and then drawing a fresh 7. Seb then plays their own Felwar Stone, and once that resolves, cracks the Expanse to go and find a Plains. Max has a Mountain for turn, and then taps enough mana for Sauron, losing 2 from the Ancient Tomb. He mills 5, makes an Orc Army token, and animates the Sepulchral Primordial from his graveyard. As it comes in, he gets to reanimate a creature from each of our graveyards, and he targets Bruce Tarl, Cryptcast, and the Archipelagore. Before allowing the ability to resolve though, Seb uses Rakdos Charm to exile my graveyard and deny Max the Cryptcast. The 2 other creatures then come in, and Max then follows that up with a Bonecaller Cleric and passes to me. I play a Swamp for turn, and then cast Jet Medallion. I then play another mana reducer with a Defiler of Flesh, and then play out a Hand of Vecna and pass to Kuzno. Kuzno plays a Temple of Mystery which comes in tapped, and he gets to scry 1. He then casts a Biblioplex Kraken, and gets a Kiora trigger. He reveals off the top that many cards, and he finds and casts Kiora Master of the Depths, and the Kraken then resolves, and as it enters, gets to scry Kuzno 3 cards deep. He then upticks the Planeswalker Kiora, untapping the Monk token and a land. Going to combat, he swings his commander at Seb, who takes the hit. Seb taps 5 mana in their main phase to cast a Gilded Lotus, and then their copy of Thought Vessel. They also then play a tap Godless Shrine. They then crack the bauble to go and find a land, and put it into play tapped, and pass after that. Max has a swamp for turn, and pays enough to sacrifice the Bonecaller Cleric to bring back the Tyrant's Familiar. He then moves to combat, with Sauron headed at Kuzno, the Tyrant going at me, and Bruce Tarl and the army go at Seb. Sauron gets the Bruce Tarl's on attack trigger, giving him double strike and lifelink, and Max also uses the Familiar's on attack trigger to take out my Defiler. We then move to blocks with Kuzno blocking with the Kraken, but still taking 13 commander damage, while Seb and I take the full hits, and Max gains 18 life. In his second main phase, Max then loses 2 of that life by tapping the Ancient Tomb to help cast Solemn Simulacrum. It enters and goes to find him a basic. I play a Spine of Ish-Sah in my main phase, and as it comes in, blow up Bruce Tarl, and I pass turn. Kuzno plays a Fabled Passage for turn, cracking it to find an island. He then pays 7 mana for Scourge of the Fleets, getting a trigger from Kiora to look at his top 7. He puts out a Defiler of Dreams from it, and the Scourge then enters, bouncing all little creatures back to their owner's hands. Kuzno then downticks the Kiora Walker and reveals his top 4, putting an island and a Sea Dasher Octopus into hand while binning the other 2. He passes after that. Seb has an Isolated Chapel for turn, and then pays 1 to sacrifice the Mind Stone to draw another card. They then float a lot of mana to cast their commander, Kroxa Kunoros, and Seb then passes once they resolve. Max draws and casts Kiki-Jiki into an already scary board state. He then activates a Legendary Goblin, making another Sepulchral Primordial. The token comes in and reanimates Bruce Tarl once more, the Defiler, and Bibliotech Kraken, which, as it enters, lets Max scry 3. He also gives the Bruce Tarl Enter the Battlefield trigger onto Sauron again. Moving to combat, the Tyrant and Sauron go at Kuzno, while the 2 Primordials and Archipelagor go at me. Max uses the Familiar's trigger to take out Kuzno's Scourge, and we then move to blocks. My decisions are pretty easy since I have nothing that can block, and I drop to 4. Kuzno puts both of his creatures in front, but the Double Strike and Trample makes short work of them, with Kuzno still taking lethal commander damage from Sauron, and Max gains more life. In his second main phase, Max loses another 2 by tapping the Ancient Tomb to help cast Disciple of Bolas. It comes in, and he sacrifices the Sepulchral Primordial token, gaining him 5 life and drawing 5 cards. With nothing else, he passes. I untap and draw, hoping for Damnation. Sadly, it's only a Bojuka Bog, which I have exile Max Graveyard, which is a little bit too late. I'm then able to cast Vilis and pass turn. Seb plays a Caves of Koilos and floats a mana with the Commander Sphere, and then sacrifices it to draw a card. They then play Dragonlord Kolaghan, followed by Vona, Butcher of Magan. Seb then activates Vona, as he has haste thanks to Kolaghan, and Seb loses 7 life to take out the Tyrant's Familiar. They then cast a Reanimate to bring back the Familiar, but on their side, and Seb then plays out a Rakdos Signet, and then a Plarg, Dean of Chaos. Seb announces they'll move to combat, but before leaving the phase, Max uses Pongify to take out Kroxa Kunoros. This dissuades Seb from continuing to attack, and they decide to pass to Max. Max draws and plays a Mountain. He taps enough for a Coercive Recruiter, which he then immediately makes a copy of by tapping Kiki-Jiki. At this point he'll basically steal all of Seb's board, and we know we're dead at this point, so Seb and I scoop it up, and Max wins the game. Game review time. This video was 39 minutes and 52 seconds. I want to say how strong Sauron was, but unfortunately Max only cast his commander once, and really, a lot of the work was done by the Sepulchral Primordial. The first copy that came in got him a lot of value, and as soon as Kiki Jiki started making him token copies of it, things got out of hand quickly. Sauron by himself is pretty scary with Trample, but giving him Double Strike was just brutal. Unfortunately, despite the fact that everyone else probably had something in their decks that could deal with it, we just didn't draw into it. I went 10 cards deep in my Vilis deck with Necropotence and still couldn't find a board wipe. That does not help anyone. Unfortunately, I've since taken the deck apart because I just haven't been enjoying the deck. Seb's deck also didn't perform for them very well, and Kroxa Kunoros just didn't seem to do very much. We saw some cool legendary creatures that they cast, but beyond that, it just seemed to be lands and mana rocks. I did like Kuzno's deck, and fortunately though, his Scourge of the Fleets, which is normally a very powerful board wipe in the form of a bounce spell, didn't help him outside of bouncing his own creatures since he had so few islands. Beyond that, I thought it was pretty flavorful, and I loved the fact that he had Planeswalker and the legendary creature version of Kiora out at the same time.
This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.